Alright, to avoid any confusion on the how I lay this down after we've got the three pieces together, sewn together, I want to back up a little bit and let's talk about where we first started with the left side of the head here. Front, middle, back, front, middle, back. After we finished our seams, we laid it down like this. That's how we're going to leave it. Then I came through and I did the right side of the head. Front, middle, back, front, middle, back. This one, after we're done with stitching, we're going to turn it right side down to where we wind up with right sides together there. And the back is matching with the back. Middle and the front is matching with the front. Okay? So that's how we need to lay it down after we're finished with these stitch lines. Same thing with our cherry. I didn't film the cherry because I filmed the frogs in pretty good detail. I think that was enough, and rather than to make this video extra long, I went ahead and did the cherries off camera, but it's the exact same process as we did with the frogs. I just have two. I have a cherry and a frog, two-sided hat. Okay, and once again, these are right sides together, wrong sides facing out. Alright, so I hope that clears up any laying things out as I have done earlier in the video. This is how you want to have it laid. Now we're going to come around this perimeter and we're going to pin it at this point. And bear with me, I got one adjustment to make on my camera, and we'll continue. Okay, we're going to pin this up. Keep our corners and our edges perfectly aligned. We're going to pin her up all the way around. You add as many pins as you need to keep everything in place, keep anything from sliding around. Even for some of you pros out there, ladies and gentlemen, friends, you probably want to pin this. I do. As many of these as I've made, I still pin this perimeter here. Now, not only the edges, but I'll come through here and you see how we got a little stretch here with that cotton? Just a little bit. And by the way, here's my front again. All of our seams are going to fold to the back on both sides. Here's our back. All these seams want to fold to the back. That's how we want to start. We're getting ready to do another stitch line, so we want all these seams flowing in the same direction toward the back. So there we go. Once again, if you wanted to run your iron across here, it may be a good idea. But this little give right here, the stretch, I wanna open it up. I wanna stretch it, and I want to hold it there. So what I'm going to do is take a pin, and I'm going to pin it about midway here, and keep that thing stretched out pretty tight there. All right. I'm not exaggerating a stretch. I'm not deforming the shape of anything. I want it as wide as it can be and still hold shape. That way we utilize our pattern. That's what we need here. So now that we got all of our edges together, we'll take this portion of the pattern, our crown pattern, and we'll come right here on the top dead center, and we're going to measure down 1/2 of an inch and put a mark. This is an average size of a crown. If you had somebody with a short crown, you may want to come in 3/4 or even 1 inch as an indicator mark to hold your pattern against. In other words, here's where mine's going to be. This is an average sized head. If you had someone with a tall crown, you could come on out here even to 1/4 of an inch. But again, if you had to go higher than that, you need to adjust your pattern to where this fabric would be longer out here. So here's our mark. That's 1/2 of an inch on an average sized head, and we're going to put the top of that cardboard pattern right there, and we're going to swivel it around and maneuver it around to where everything looks uniform on the left and right sides here, while keeping it on our mark. So that looks pretty good there. You use your eyeballs here. Everything looks pretty uniform. Now out here we got 7/16 of an inch, which is just a tad larger than 3/8 seam allowance right here. But that's okay. This pattern is key. So that's why it's cut in the way it is. I'm not going to utilize this portion of it. I'm going to start here and start here with my pin mark, and I'm going to draw this temp out. So I'll be able to see it and run my needle exactly where my pin line is. Okay. Now down here, when I finish and when I start, I want that to be a 3/8 seam allowance, just as we did with all these other seams. So once I put this in my machine, we're going to have a 3/8 seam allowance, and then I'll have to turn this. Let me put a mark here that you can see. So here's where my needle's going to start. As I put this in my machine, my needle's going to start stabbing right here. But then you see out here, it's much further away from the edge. So rather than taking a straight edge and, you know, putting a line in here for my needle to follow as an eyeball, when I'm going to eyeball this, I'm eyeballing my needle to be on my pin line all the way around. So I need to get from here to here, but I don't necessarily want a straight line. I want a little bit of a curve there, you know, a little. So this won't work. Let's see if we can just come through here and kind of have a flowing little line there, not so straight, you know. That looks a little better. It's this right here is freestyle. You could back up here, I guess, if you wanted to, and come on down through here like this, but that's going to give you a wider portion of the head circumference here, which has not worked out well for me on my customers and my friends. The portion from here to where the pattern ends, where are we at here? From this portion down to here is I guess you would say it's guesswork. It's practice and whatever you find to work out best for you. But I'm telling you, on the size of the hat we're making, your needle will start here at 3/8 and it will join up here for an average size head and come around, and it'll continue down to where it will end right here at 3/8. That's where it has to end. That's where your stitch line has to be on each side for that size of a hat. So I don't even draw the pin line anymore as I'm sewing this. I'll just freestyle it from here and wind up here. And it's easy to do because this edge of this fabric will be on the right edge of my foot module. We'll start with the right edge of the foot and we're going to end with the right edge of the foot, and you'll see that in a minute. So I hope that explains the average. You know, this hat, that's how we're going to do it. You can tweak it and you can adjust it and you can do all kind of things with it for you and your community. But for me and my community, this is how I do it. So we're going to do the cherries the same way. I'm only going to show you the frogs. There's no need in showing you both sessions. And I'm going to put it in, and we're going to start like this, and we're going to sew, and I'm going to hold my needle on this pin line right here. The only time I'm considering holding the edge of the fabric to the edge of the foot is when I start off and when I get ready to come to the very end. I'm not concerned about a 3/8 seam allowance through here. I'm concerned about keeping the needle on the pin line. Okay, so let me get my machine situated back in a good spot, and we're gonna sew that and show that. Alrighty, we got our whole piece in the machine. 3/8 seam allowance here. Fabric's at the right edge of the foot once again, and we're going to freestyle up through here and meet up right here down through here on this pin line. Whatever happens from here to here is up to you. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm on my pin line, and I'm going to try to stay on it with my needle. At this point, I'm disregarding what's happening with the right edge of my foot. I want the needle on the pin line. And now from here I want to wind up with this edge of this fabric at the edge of my foot, which we're looking good here. That's where you have to end for your size. The edge of the fabric is the edge of the foot. That's going to keep that consistent circumference in the end. Now, you see here that we got a 1/2 inch seam allowance right here, but I'm going to come through and I'm going to put one more stitch on top of this stitch for extra support, security, and make sure nothing comes unraveled here on the top of that head, because a lot of folks who wear these will be constantly pulling that hat down over their ears, and a lot of stress is going to be right here on these seams, these stitch lines. So even though we're covered, considering the very top of the head here, we're going to run another stitch line here, just eyeballing. I'll try to zoom in a little bit here. And I only need to run it from here to here. I don't have to run it all the way around. Only right here where all these seams come together. So we'll start it there. We want to get pretty close to that original stitch. Not right on top of it, but very close. Less than 1/8 of an inch away from our original. And you can see now that that's a double stitch on that stress point up there on top of the head. So that's not coming apart. like I've said before in a couple of my videos, the fabric will degrade and come apart before our seams and our stitch lines would come apart. You know, cotton is not bulletproof. It will come apart after so many washes and wears. But we're going to do the same thing with the cherries, and then we're going to sit down and show you how we move forward with our cuff and getting ready to put everything together.